everyone, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and I'm back today to continue working on the Graphic 45 regular tag mini album. In my last video, I went ahead and did the construction, so I showed you how to build the cover, the spine, the back, and add the tags as pages to the album. And so now I'm going to focus on getting these pages decorated and figuring out what I'm going to do for a closure. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So here's what I've done for the closure. So what I did is I took a tag and I shortened it, lined it on both sides, and this is how I'm going to keep the album closed. And I'll go ahead and give you those measurements. Let's see. I think I went this direction. So you're going to score, you're going to place this edge toward the left-hand edge of your scoreboard. So this is going to be scored at 2.5 inches from this point. Is that right? Actually, I take that back. 2 3/4. So you're going to score at 2 3/4. And then 5 1/4. 2 3/4 and then 5 1/4. And then I trim this down so there's only a 1/2 inch that's going to get adhered to the back of the album. And this is going to work as the hinge that opens and closes the door. So again, I want to say that one more time. 2 3/4, score at 2 3/4, and score at 5 1/4. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this on because I want to place the magnet. So I went ahead and chose my liners, and then underneath this liner is a magnet. So I'm going to want to place a magnet, a corresponding magnet on the cover so that it stays closed. But first I want to attach this hinge to the book, and it's actually going to get adhered to the very outside of this panel because it's going to get covered with a mat. And I've got my art glitter glue here. So I've got tape on it, but I'm also going to put some art glitter glue because I think I might need to shift it up and down a little bit until I get it right where I want it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going off screen a little so I can get right in front of this. And that looks like where I want it. Yeah. Okay. And so the book was built originally so that the tags fit just inside the cover. So they should be the same. Looks like I got a little lift here. It should be the same width. They're just slightly smaller, and that's because of the cardstock wrap. Otherwise, you know, if you laid it down against the cardstock, it would be exactly the same width. But we're adding 65-pound cardstock, so that gives us a little bit of, it's going to be slightly larger, but it is very slight. Okay, so that's done. So now it's going to close like this. So I'm going to go ahead and take the backing off. So here's the magnet here, and then I'm going to close it, get it positioned where I want it, and then I'm going to press it in place. Okay, now that should, there it is. Okay, I was gonna say that should stay. So that's in, and so all that's gonna get covered up with a piece of designer cardstock. So I've already pre-trimmed and inked the edges of these pages, so this should all go pretty quickly. Everything is very easy because it's a single die that goes over for each one of these pages. So there's no trimming left and right and trying to get it perfect. You've got a die that's doing all the work for you. So it goes quite fast. It's more of the time goes toward deciding which patterns you want to put next to each other. So I mentioned this in the last one, but this is a great little, it goes together very quickly, a great little project for themes. And for this one, it's travel. I'm using the Tropical Travelogue by Graphic 45, and it's great for, you know, a series of vacation photos. which is what I'm planning to use mine for. And so it won't have all my vacations. It'll just have one particular set of photos from a specific tropical vacation in Hawaii. So I'm just sliding this into place, looking to get my borders very even. Okay, I'm pressing everything in place, and I like the way that looks. That's how it's going to look when it's closed. And of course I'll do something with the brad, and there'll be additional embellishments, but that's pretty much the bones of the cover right there. Okay, I've also cut out what's going to be my spine. The nice thing about having this closure is I can set this thing on any end and it actually will stand up for me, which is nice. And I like the idea of it looking a bit more like a box. This is not directional, so it doesn't really matter which direction I put it. I'm going to stand up so I can stand over my project to get my paper placed. Okay, a little excess glue here. And I'm just pushing down kind of gently because I did put, I think, probably a little too much glue. And I don't want it to all ooze out. Okay, that's looking very good, but I do want to make sure it got all the way to the edges. The edges that meet the spine are the ones that are most likely to pull up, so I always like to make sure I've got plenty of adhesive. Okay, and here's the back. Another non-directional piece of paper. It's going to go in like this. And then we'll work on the inside. And so here's where I adhered the hinge that's keeping the whole thing closed. So we're going to put a piece of paper that goes right over that. So no one will see it. This was really fun and very simple. This is a great project. If you've got a friend who likes to scrapbook but has never done a mini book, this is a great one to get them started. It's not intimidating, and you can sit down and start and finish it all in one sitting. Most scrapbookers have some patience anyways. They're used to sitting and working on their books for hours, but this would just be a few hours. And then in the end, you walk away with, you know, a nice little project. And like I said, there's not a lot of trimming because every single page, the decorator paper is trimmed out using the Graphic 45 die. So all you have to do is really pick your colors and run it through your Sizzix. So super fast, super fun. Great starter. Okay, it's a little dry here, so I'm making sure to get my glue cap on between use. Okay, so now I'm going to open it up and we're going to go ahead and do our liners. And I picked something very simple for the liner. Okay, and I actually trimmed all these few rectangular pieces out by hand by measuring and adding a tick mark. So they're not exactly the same size. I didn't use dimensions. I actually just cut it to fit that space in particular. And as you know, if you're working with mini albums, there's always a slight variation between the pages. It's not insignificant, usually less than a 1/16 of an inch or thereabout. But I go ahead, you're going to trim it anyway. What's the big deal? Go ahead and use a tick mark and trim it right to fit. I put that down before I looked at the orientation, but lucky for me, it's the right way. Okay, that is in, and I like it. Now we'll do the front. So again, I'm using the paper Graphic 45 Tropical Travelogue is what I'm using. And it's a DCE. So it comes with your papers and some chipboard. So DCEs are designer or deluxe collector editions is what it is. And they're just a re-release of a collection. And when they do the re-release, they don't release every single component of a collection. So that it won't have its own ephemeras. It will have cut apart pages, but it won't have its own ephemeras. It doesn't come with stickers. It comes with the chipboards and the papers. And that's enough to do a mini album. I've done another mini album using this collection. It's a 7x7, and a DCE is plenty to get a 7x7 mini album done. In this case, I'm actually going to do 2 mini albums with the DCE. One is the one we're looking at now, and then I'm going to do another one. It's going to be another tag album, but it's going to be using the large tags, the tall, I think they're 9.5 or 9 3/4 inch. And I'm going to turn it into the portrait position. So it'll look different, but I'll show you 2 ways to do these tag albums with 2 different size tags. And you can see just how simple this is, really. You pick your paper, you run it through the die, and it fits right on the tag. That's it, no fuss. So we're gonna do this several more times. I opted for 6 papers, 6 tags, 6 pages. Because they're relatively small, I can't do a lot of interaction on them, so I added a few extra pages. Normally my albums are pocket pages, and I do 4. So this is a little bit different. I'm adding more pages because you can't do a whole lot with any given page. There's just not enough space. But we will do some interesting designing and embellishing. It won't just be a flat piece of paper. I'll add some cut aparts, some fussy cuts, and chipboard elements to these pages to make them pop. We have got some weird weather, kind of rain today. So I'm not knowing what to make of that. Okay, that's it. Page 1 is done. Okay, here we go, page 2. This is one of my favorite patterns. It's very simple, but I really like it. And this one too. I could have easily done a project with just those 2 sheets and then just added lots of designer elements. I just love the pattern. Ooh, you know what? That doesn't look good. I might have to inch that up a little. Yeah, I'm actually in the spine, so I'm gonna have to trim just a little bit off that edge and then lay it down again. Let's see how that is. Sorry about that, folks. Luckily my trimmer is right here handy. Let's make sure it'll close or open, whichever. I'm going to go ahead and take a little more off. There. And then freshen up my glue. Okay, that's in. Let's try fit it real quick to make sure I don't need to trim it, and this one looks fine. So the paper, the DCE, is in our shop. We have tons of it, so click on the links below. It'll take you right to the shop to buy the paper. We also have tags and the dies available. And if you're a Graphic 45 fan and you don't have these tag dies, you need to get them. You will use tags so much more if you have the dies. And like I said, you can actually construct a whole little mini album and not have to do anything else. You won't have to do anything else to add pages. So you can get real quick mini albums made. You just make your cover. And the next album that I make with the larger size tag, I'm going to show you how to make the cover without using chipboard, or with using very minimal chipboard. Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay. So I think this was the plan. Let me see. I have to look at my designs again to see which way, what was going to happen next. If I was going to do that or this. And I think it was this way. Pretty sure. Next. So here's my little commercial break. If you like, don't forget to click the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, if you do subscribe, you will be notified every time we have new content, and we appreciate you viewing. And then if you're a mini book maker or scrapbooker and you've got friends that like to scrapbook, please share our link. We love to have new subscribers. I love getting comments, both on the design as well as the construction. If there's something I can do to make the construction process easier for you to use, I definitely want to hear that. And I respond to all comments, and I do my best to respond to them as very quickly, within hours. It's very rare that I let a few days go by without responding to a comment. So if I'm not clear in a measurement, shoot me a note in the comments and I will respond to you. I'll either give you the answer, or I'll give you the answer as well as the timestamp of where you can find the information in the tutorial. The other thing I want to let you know is, if you are a subscriber, if you look at the playlists, all of my tutorials or projects are organized by the title of the paper. So if you go to Tropical Travelogue, for example, you will find all project videos associated to that particular paper collection. So you'll find the series of 7x7 tutorials. You'll find the tutorials for what I'm working on right now. And that's how I've organized all my videos. So if you want to look at Graphic 45 Princess, just type in or look for the Princess playlist, and all the videos associated with that project will be right there for you. From how to build the base book to how to customize the flaps and pockets, and then the last series of videos are always how to decorate it if you want to completely duplicate something I've done. Sometimes you just want to use the first 2 videos, build it, and add your flaps and pockets, and then do what you want with the paper. But it's all there for you to use, and you're more than welcome to. We do appreciate it when you click on our shop and do your shopping there. That goes a long way to helping us fund the channel. That's how we pay for the paper that you guys are watching us work with. So anyways, that's how we organize the videos. You can also look at them just as they pop up, and they're organized by the date that they get uploaded. But they're not always in order. So the playlists are pretty nice to use. I got these out of order, so I'm fumbling around a little bit. The playlists are nice to use because, like I said, they're not always in order. Yeah, that's how it's going to go. Sometimes I have to stop a project and work on something else because we have issues with supply. So I don't want to put a video out if you can't get the paper. So this, like I said, this is super fun. I'm really enjoying this project. It's very rewarding because you get results so quickly. And I've got the next one pretty much designed, and I was inspired by Annette Green, who is an ambassador for Graphic 45. When we went to Creativation this year, she had this tall portrait orientation tag album, and so that inspired me. So that's the basis for my album. She's done some things that I won't be including that are very specific to her design, but that was what kind of inspired me to do the tag album to start with. She's a great designer, and she has her own blog spot, and I would encourage you to take a look at her stuff. Okay, that is in. See how we're almost finished. At least with the base paper stuff. So I'm going to, once I finish this, I'm going to walk you through it really quick, and then I'm going to go offline and do the embellishments. And when I come back, they'll be in, and I'll do a pretty thorough descriptive of the process that I use to get them in. But it'll become part of the last video, which will be the walkthrough. And I'll kind of point out, you know, what's chipboard, what's fussy cut. And I'll point out where I'm using any other embellishments, whether they're from my stash, or things like ribbon. I'll just point out where I'm using it, and you should be able to follow along. So without a doubt, the thing that took the longest, I missed a spot, in this project was really the coordinating of the paper, which to me is the fun part. So all of the normally labor-intensive stuff pretty much goes away when you're using these tags as pages, and you get to spend all your time just coordinating the papers and looking for, you know, this sort of flow in the designs. So again, I think it's a great project for somebody who might look at a mini album and get overwhelmed by what they think the process is. It's also a great teen project because a little graduation book with just the photos from the graduation. I really like that idea. So as you can see, I've got a little headroom here, and the reason I did that is because I intend to put charms or ribbon or both on each one of the tags, and so I wanted a little headroom. So there's probably about a ½ inch off the top. Now, if you didn't want that kind of headroom, you would just scale down your cover about a ½ inch. But I did want the headroom, so I went ahead and put that there. And that gives me my overall dimensions of 4x6. So that's the size of this album. I think it's adorable. And I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. This is the first time I've done a tag album. I have used tags in my other albums, and I actually used the same design process. I used a waterfall to attach them to the book, but I've not ever attached them to a spine and made a book. So I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. I hope you guys enjoy. And like I said, when I come back, I will go over this in a walkthrough in detail, and I'll point out all the embellishments that I add offline so that you guys can reproduce this album if you so desire. Thanks for tuning in. It's Daphne at Scrap and Create. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Bye.